How many were here for the Lions game this year?
Ooh.
One of the greatest games ever played. So I want to go in the owner's suite at halftime. 24/7 Lions. You're playing catch with your son? I'm going to go into your suite in a minute. Oh, you were playing catch with your son at halftime?
Yeah, I mean, it was just one of those things where you're in the moment, and whether you want it to be 24/7 or not, like it is. And, you know, you're trying to not have your kids melt down and, you know, and it was, you know, just trying to relax and enjoy the fact that we're here in the NFC Championship game. And Joe Montana was in our suite. And they asked Joe about it, and he's like, you know, I think we're going to win. Like, I think we're going to calm down. I think Brock is going to come out and play a hell of a second half. And he's like, you know, we've got it. And like, but that's the type of feeling that I think we all have, right? We believe in Kyle. We believe in our players. We believe in the team. And, you know, I don't know that anybody was going to make the largest wager in their life that we were going to win the game, right? But like, there's a belief that we have a chance in any game that we play that we can go out and win. And it's a testament to the hard work, you know, not halftime adjustments, but what starts from the work that they did today on the field, right? That translates into that second half. And it's a testament to these guys.
What was halftime like in the locker room?
Oh, boy.
Kyle?
I felt like Joe. I was chilling. I was relaxed. I knew we were going to win. No, I was.
Were you down there too?
Totally kidding. I was so angry. I couldn't think about winning or losing. That wasn't the thing. It was like, guys, I don't care if we're going out. We're not going out like this.
Right.
Like when we come out, like, hey, we're gonna make this a problem. And you don't think about like, hey, how many points? It's just like this isn't acceptable, and we got to change this. And everyone felt that way. So everyone was kind of embarrassed and pissed, and there wasn't a lot of talk. It was an energy like, thank God we got 30 more minutes, because after 30 more minutes, it's over. And so let's get this all out right now.
I remember seeing Debo on the sideline come up to you and get in your ear a little bit about coming. And then you got the ball right away to start, and it was on. So what was it like for you at halftime of that game, John?
I wasn't as cool as Joe, I can tell you that. You know, Kyle will tell you, I'm an eternal optimist, so I'm always optimistic. I was not optimistic right then. It just, it did not seem like it was our game. And I'll tell you, it was the first game in my tenure here that I went down to the locker room at halftime. I don't know what the hell for, but I felt compelled to go down. And I felt so much better, like Kyle talked about. I felt the energy in that locker room. I was sitting in with the equipment, man, and I'm just listening. And I could see Debo over there, and I saw Debo just like breathing hard. And Debo looked at me and he said, "Tell him to get me the ball." And is
that what he told you on
I'm
the
sure
side?
there were more words than that.
I never told him.
Debo told him.
How about you tell him? Or better yet, show him. And
don't need to be told.
Yes.
Right.
It's very obvious.
And it was on. It was on, and that was a fun one.
We had Jed and John and Kyle out. We were talking about the NFC Championship game and the Lion game, and Jed was playing catch with his son in the owner's suite. I think things were a little different in the locker room that night.
Right.
John went down from the GM suite down. Nick, what was it like in the locker room at halftime of that Lion game down 24/7?
It was. We kind of try to keep everything the same, no matter whether we're getting beat or we're up. You just try and come in, go over what the issues are, figure it out, and I didn't really see anybody feeling bad, feeling sorry for themselves, or any really change in anybody. I think we were still confident. I think we got the ball when we came out, and yeah, you just try and keep even keel. Same mentality, and keep playing ball.
Kyle said he was angry.
Kyle was angry?
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Still the same. So everything the same is what you're saying. Yes. Yeah. That tracks. This tracks. Fantastic.
Brock, what was it like for you at halftime?
I mean, same thing. Like I knew that we had the squad to do it. You know, that if we're gonna come back, then this is the team to do it with and do it for. So. It was quiet. There wasn't any rah-rah. I mean, the defense, the coaches were always talking throughout the year, so they did their thing. On offense, Kyle went over the plays that we're going to come out with, and we all looked at each other and just like, all right, let's do it. You know, there was no freaking out or panicking. Like, we're professionals. We do this for a living, and we had belief and confidence in one another that we're going to get it rolling, and we did. So,
Georgie, what flipped that game around?
I would say, no, we didn't turn the ball over. We got a turnover in the second half. That's football. If you take care of the football and you get some interceptions, fumbles, whatever it is. And, fortunately, then our guys started making plays, and they had a couple mistakes in the second half that just kind of left the door open for us. And, with the way that Brock has been playing all season, since he's been in, just being able to rip it, find the open spaces, and get the ball to guys like Ayuk, to Debo, to McCaffrey, to myself, Juice, Jawan Jennings. Like, we've got a plethora of weapons. So Brock was comfortable, and he was just throwing it back there, and then he was running around like that little water lizard that I, mentioned last year. And, and he kind of won us the game with his legs too. So like when you have someone that's poised like that, like none of us were ever nervous by any means. It's just kind of like, are we really going to like let this opportunity slip? It's right here. We're at home. We have the team for it. Like, well, like all we have to do is just go play our football, and, that's all we had to do. And that's what we did, which was really fun for us. Defense made plays, offense made plays. And next thing you know, we're winning in the fourth quarter.
The water lizard at a pair of 21-yard scrambles. I remember the 10-yarder.
Being able to hear these behind-the-scenes stories of the NFC Championship game at halftime and where everyone currently was, from ownership on down to players, it's really cool to hear their perspective. But I also wanted to add on this, as someone who was in the stadium, sitting in the stands, watching this game play out, I would also like to give my perspective of what it was like at halftime. So now to kind of give you a scene setter, I'm sitting opposite side of the press box. If you've been to Levi's Stadium, you're familiar with where I'm talking about and kind of maybe what that looks like. But I'm sitting in section, I believe it's probably like 121, around there, row 13 or so. I have great seats, great view of the game and everything that's been playing out. Obviously, wasn't very exciting game in the first half for 49er fans, but I really want to set this scene because it was one of the more palpable energies I have felt at Levi's Stadium, and it wasn't a good one. But I would say the highest high that I felt at Levi's was in 2019 NFC Championship game when the 49ers beat the brakes off Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Those vibes were insane. I've never experienced a game, even since then, like that. You can maybe argue that the Packers game this year, in the sense of when Dre Greenlaw got that interception, that was probably one of the craziest moments I've experienced at Levi's. But the overall energy of that particular Detroit Lions NFC Championship game was really, really bad. So as halftime starts, we know the 49ers are down. I'm sitting in my seats. There is probably 3 rows ahead of me. A Detroit Lions fan falls into the aisle and looks like he's having a heart attack. And so you have pure panic starting to occur as halftime begins. It was a crazy situation because we couldn't get a hold of anyone. We couldn't get a hold of stadium staff, emergency staff. So it felt like hours that this guy looked like he was dying in front of all of us. Keep in mind, Journey is getting set up in the corner to perform at halftime. And I'm sitting here thinking that, one, the 49ers are going to lose and get knocked out from going to the Super Bowl. I have a gentleman in front of me who's in need of serious medical help, and there's none to be found. And then just the entire vibe of the stadium was silent. And then Journey comes on. So I'm just sitting here. It was such a surreal moment for me, again, sitting where I was, the situation that was playing out in front of me, the vibe of the stadium is one of the most quiet I've ever seen Levi's at halftime. And you just have Journey playing in the background. And typically, Journey, especially in the Bay Area with 49er fans, you're going to get people singing along. There wasn't any of that. And then they finished with Don't Stop Believin'. And I remember tweeting out that I was like, there's only one band that can save the San Francisco 49ers, and it's Journey, Don't Stop Believin'. And again, just from my perspective, it felt like we were going to lose. Like, just like John Lynch talked about being an internal optimist and being like, yeah, we're cooked. I feel like I'm pretty optimistic of, understanding that the ebbs and flows of games and how things can change in a blink of an eye. I'm very similar in that sense. But I too was in that moment. Again, everything playing out in front of me, the vibes, the stadium. I'm just like, this is how it ends. This is how we get knocked out. So it's pretty. It's interesting to hear all the perspectives. Ownership perspective. You have Joe Montana calling it. Oh, Brock Purdy's going to come back. He's going to win this game. Jed York throwing passes to his son in the hallway. John Lynch going down into the locker room. Debo Samuel hyperventilating, telling John Lynch to tell Kyle to get me the ball. It's just crazy, right? It's just that was a crazy game. It was a crazy game. The way it all played out, the halftime vibes were crazy. And for the 49ers to, again, be calm, act like they've been here before, and do exactly what they thought and knew they could do, that's why they were a championship caliber team. You have to be able to stay cool, calm, and collected in those situations. We know football is a game of adversity, and it's the people who can withstand those storms typically come out victorious and don't crumble because of it. And it's just a testament to how good this team really is. And so obviously they fell short of the ultimate goal. But that game, I think, is, again, it's just representative of how this team operates in those types of moments. Even when everything is against them, the entire stadium, you could tell, thought that the 49ers were cooked. And the 49ers just kept believing, just like Journey said, don't stop believing. And that apparently was the one band that could save the San Francisco 49ers. So, and it was crazy too, because also at that time, it was one of the most beautiful sunsets that we had seen that I've seen at Levi's. And I've been to a lot of games at Levi's, and we've seen some really good sunsets. I think back to that Thursday night football game in 2018, Battle of the Bay. The whole sky was like purple. So we've seen some really good sun. So again, you had nature working, like it just like was like this golden amber burnt orange red, just clouds, quiet stadium, don't stop believing. Update, they were able to finally get some assistance for the guy who looked like he was having a heart attack. I thought I was going to watch him die in front of me. Seems like he was able to stabilize, and they were able to get him out of the stadium. So hopefully everything worked out for that Lions fan. But as we know, it worked out as 49er fans. So thought I'd share my perspective on it as well. If you guys were watching at home, I'm curious if you're at the stadium. Also would love to hear from you and your perception, your thoughts at halftime. Or like I said, if you're at home watching, what were you thinking? What were you doing? What were your rituals? We know people get superstitious and start moving around. I want to hear from you in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.